Ever since the ripe old age of about 3 years old, as far back as I can remember, I kind of had a love affair with the Ford Mustang. It kind of was because my dad owned one. He had a rare Mustang, not like one of those really cool rare Mustangs. He just had a rare Mustang, only available for 2 years. And as I got older, not being a person who's in love with Ford in general, but a person who's loving vehicles and all the ones you can see around you. I used to see Mustangs, especially the 5-liter convertibles, and think they were the coolest thing out there. Growing up in the late 80s and early 90s, there was lots of them kicking around. But as I get older, I started asking myself, how many famous Mustangs are there out there? Like, we all can think of at least one famous Mustang. And yeah, I get it. You're probably thinking the exact same one as me, either Bullet or Gone in 60 Seconds, because literally, what other ones are there? But there's actually a lot of other great Mustangs used in all kinds of TV shows and movies. And today, while reminiscing about my old Mustang, we're going to take a look at some of the most famous Mustangs in history, whether it be TV, manufacturers, or even movies. The ones that made us fall in love with that valiant steed. Welcome back to the AutoLooks podcast. I am your host, as always, the doctor to the automotive industry, Mr. Everett J, coming to you from our host website at autolooks.net. If you haven't been there, stop by, check it out, read some of the reviews, check out some of the ratings, go to the Corporate Links website page. Big or small, we have them all, car companies from around the globe, and if we don't have them there yet, they're coming soon, because we've got a list of a whole bunch of them. They're just sitting back, waiting to come out, so stay tuned. The AutoLooks podcast is brought to you by Ecom Entertainment Group and distributed by Podbeam.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us, send us an email over at email@autolooks.net. So like I said in the beginning, I was kind of reminiscing about Mustangs, and the one that actually was my dad's is eventually going to become mine. And I said it's a rare one, but it's not a rare one that a lot of people think about. It's a 1970 Ford Mustang Grande. Yeah, that automatic premium style Mustang from 1969 and 1970. They had 2 years of them, and I got a 70. You can find a lot of 69 versions, but not a lot of 70s out there. Now, it was more of the premium model, made for luxurious grand touring cruising. Hell, it came with an automatic, not a slapstick, okay? But it did come with a 351 Cleveland jammed underneath the hood. You know, the number one engine that De Tomaso loved for the Panteras. Hell, he loved them so much he bought 2 years worth of production just to keep the cars in production. So yeah, my Mustang is quite powerful and quite cool, but it's also in quite a lot of pieces right now, thanks to a previous associate literally just doing a hack job and leaving the car in pieces for us to finish up, not completing his actual job after he got a whole whack of money. But to kind of get away from that, my Mustang is kind of a rarity because nobody ever thinks the Grande. It was not one of those models that a lot of people really wanted. You don't see it everywhere, and it's not really a collector's item, but a lot of them out there are collector's items. And thanks to being famous for movies, TV, hell, even some of us from podcasts now in radio series. There's a whole bunch of them out there. And like we said in the intro, 2 of them anybody could think of is Gone in 60 Seconds, both the original and the new one, with the original being a 71 Mach 1 and the newer one being a 67 GT350 that was utilized to be the GT500 custom built, which is essentially copywritten. And then the other one, the most famous Mustang of all, the Bullet Mustang. Everybody knows it because everybody's seen the movie Bullet, and if you haven't, check it out sometime. It's kind of dry from back in the day, but it has a great car chase scene. Now, I have seen other ones that are better, and a lot of people will fight me on that, but I'm sorry, there actually are better car chases than that one. Now, the greatest thing with that one is Steve McQueen was the stunt driver, and he utilized one vehicle, unlike today. So it kind of makes it great. But I still say the best car chase in any automotive movie has got to be the original Gone in 60 Seconds. 45 minutes. Half of the entire movie is just a car chase with one vehicle ever used for that entire chase. So it's kind of cool. But besides those ones, what other famous Mustangs can you think of? Well, James Bond, for instance, had a few. Goldfinger had a 1964 Ford Mustang convertible. Now, that's when he's trying to track down Goldfinger, and he notices the cute blonde that's trying to chase down and shoot Goldfinger. So he makes his personal mission to insert himself into the situation. But it's a convertible Mustang in Europe, of all places. Then we move on to Diamonds Are Forever, where again, a Mustang Mach 1. 71 Mustang Mach 1 is utilized. That's one of the most famous car chase scenes ever done in a James Bond movie, because he gets the car up on two wheels to go through an alleyway so he can evade the police. It's kind of cool. And hell, the fact that they did it with an actual vehicle makes it even cooler. Now, like we said, the original one, Gone in 60 Seconds, used one car. The newer one with Nicolas Cage, can say new, came out in the late 90s, new to me, but new to the Gone in 60 Seconds franchise. Eleanor, the Shelby Mustang. Well, besides that, Shelby Mustangs have been utilized for a whole bunch of other different movies and television shows. Hell, when they tried to bring Knight Rider back in the early 2000s, they utilized a 2008 Shelby GT 500K Mustang. Hell, there's the Shelby GT Mustang GTH, the Special Hertz Edition. The Mustang GT from Team Knight Rider, used in the original series. It was part of the team, not the main car. Then you get the famous Shelby that lost its brain, or I should say its heart. The 67 Mustang from the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Yeah, they put a Sylvia engine underneath the hood of this damn thing. A V6. I get it, his dad didn't have the V8 to put inside of this Mustang, and he's utilizing an old GT platform. But kind of just, kicking it in the nuts. There was a 68 GT500 convertible from the Get Smart series. And then we got the new GT Hertz back in 2016, 2019, and in 2022. Hertz Rentals had their own special edition of the Mustang. Now, they had them way back in the 60s, but 1966. And the only way to ever get one is when Hertz finally sold them off. Now, in 2006, they decided to bring them back. Funny thing is, around this point in time, 2006, close to my wedding, and I could have rented one, but stupid me, never did it. Would have been the cooler thing to cruise around in than my shitty-ass old Impala. There's James Gardner, 66 Shelby GT350H, of all things, used from the movie Grand Prix. The Thomas Crown Affair used a custom-built Shelby Safari-style Mustang, literally lifted up to go off-road. Wasn't used for a whole heck of a lot of the movie, but it was there. War of the Worlds, the newer version with Tom Cruise, Shelby GT350H. Then you get the custom-built Shelby, utilized in the Need for Speed movie. Custom-built. Now, the GT500K was somewhat similar to where this Mustang came from, but the one from the Need for Speed movie used an extensive, and I do mean extensive, body modifications to make it completely custom for the movie. And then we get into I Am Legend. Not a car cult movie you would think of, but he does cruise around New York City, zombie or whatever infested nation, with the GT500. So yes, there's a lot of different Shelby Mustangs. My most favorite of all the Mustangs, and one of the most, I shouldn't say the most famous, but one of the most notable ones that children, well, I would say more kids in their 20s now, can relate to. The Transformer series. They not only had a 2006, they also had a 2016. Both of them used as police cars. So yes, Mustangs were in Transformers. But how do you have a Transformer movie without having a Mustang in it? We get it. You tried to fit in the Camaro to take the place of the original Beetle, which what Bumblebee was. Kind of a shit thing to do. Like, the Beetle is bigger. And I don't really fucking care that General Motors got their fingers into Transformers and made the bad vehicles Fords and the good vehicles General Motors. You still got to put a Beetle in there. I really don't care. That's like replacing Herbie with a frickin' Camaro. So yeah, over time, there's been a lot of Shelby Mustangs utilized in different movies and television series. But over time, the Mustang has gotten famous from other movie franchises. Hell, if you remember the original David Carradine's version with Sylvester Stallone in it, The Death Race 2000. And trust me, you can call it a car cult movie, but I refuse to even buy it or watch it again because it's an hour and a half of my life I will never, ever get back. Ever. It's the one movie I refuse to ever watch again. But the newer one, with Jason Statham, uses a Mustang GT as his death car for Frankenstein. Now, I always thought this was the greatest concept ever. Have this island out in the middle of nowhere, allow these people on death row to build these incredible vehicles to go and fight each other. Give us some entertainment factor out of, the end of the line. And that's what the Death Race movie kind of put forward. It allowed for this. It was like gladiator games with cool cars. And the number one guy in the series was Frankenstein. And Frankenstein drove a Mustang GT. Well, yeah, nothing more badass than cruising around in a Mustang, killing people on an island because you're a convict. And if he wins so much, he can escape. and get out into the real world. Yeah, we all knew that was never going to happen. But yeah, besides a lot of these Mustangs and these amazing products that you see in all kinds of movies, there are other ones from television series that you forget about. You go back and you watch the original 21 Jump Street. And if you don't know, 21 Jump Street is where Johnny Depp got his start in Hollywood. He was in the original series. And back then, he drove around in a 68 Ford Mustang fastback on TV. The guy that would eventually go on to become the only man in history to ever win a fight with his wife. Yeah, and I got to put that out there. Sorry. No matter how many women listen to this, gonna hate me because of saying that, he just proved to men that we can win a fight against our wives. Well, ex-wives in that case. But besides that, how about Charlie's Angels? I even got the picture if you can go see it on my site. Good old Farrah Fawcett sitting on the hood of a Ford Mustang Cobra 2. Now, we get it. These things are built up that stupid Ford Pinto platform. So the Pinto Mustangs, the Mustang 2, the ones that we don't like to consider the Mustangs. But if it wasn't for them, the Mustang would have disappeared, just like the Camaro and the Challenger. But seeing Farrah Fawcett sitting on top of that Mustang just makes it seem a lot cooler. Oh, yeah. You gotta remember, it's Farrah Fawcett. Like, she was a major sex symbol to boys growing up in the 1970s. Hell, I go back and I watch movies from the 90s. I watched that movie with Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Chevy Chase, Man of the House. Farrah Fawcett plays his mom in that movie. And his dad leaves her for a secretary. I'm like, I want to see what the secretary looks like. Because Farrah Fawcett in the 90s, even for her age, it's like, damn, man, she was still fucking hot. Oh, yeah. And now she's playing a mom, even hotter. So her sitting up on top of the hood of this Mustang for Charlie's Angels, the series. Oh, I don't know what to look at. Look at the car. Look at Farrah Fawcett. If I had the car, can I have Farrah Fawcett? If I had Farrah Fawcett, I definitely could have the car. Makes you dream, right? So like we said before, one of the Shelbys is used in the Knight Rider made-for-TV movie. Yeah, that's a stupid thing. There's one that appears in an episode of Blue Bloods. Yeah, the most boring cop drama show to ever exist since NYPD Blue. My in-laws love it, and I fucking hate it. So do my kids. But hey, they got a 67 Ford Mustang Fastback that shows up in the show a couple times. 65 Ford Mustang Convertible, 90210. Oh, yeah. Then from there, like I said, we get Smart. There's another TV series that had one. Then you had the show Alcatraz, Ford Mustang GT 2012. So in all reality, television has given us many different Mustangs to kind of dream over. Now, we get it. You know, Camaros and Firebirds make a bigger part of television. General Motors is a little bit more part of television than they are of the movie scene. Well, not to say they're not part of the movie scene, but Mustangs play a bigger role in movies. Like Basic Instinct, you can catch one in Back to the Future, Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2. There's a 78 Mustang 2, King Cobra. Oh, yeah. That's My Boy. Princess Diaries. Now, this is one of those weird ones that I found not too long ago. And I'm going through this list of movies, and I'm like, Princess Diaries? What the hell? So I write it down, I find it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. Not that long ago, I was actually watching this movie. My wife actually watch a movie that she wants to watch and kind of get my daughter into some of these, girly movies. Because she's more of a daddy's girl. So let's try and get a little more girly movies in there. So we watched Princess Diaries. And I'm always like, where is the Mustang in Princess Diaries? And I don't realize it's her car. She is building this car. Anne Hathaway's character in Princess Diaries, the dorky girl that becomes the princess, has a Mustang. And at the end of the movie, when she moves to her home country to take, her royal throne, she brings her Mustang with her, naturally. Because who would leave the Mustang behind? I can hear a bunch of you, dedicated General Motors fans yelling at the mic right now, going, "Oh, I would. It's not a Camaro." Who the fuck cares, okay? We're talking about Mustangs here. I love a Camaro too, but if I had a choice, kind of like my dad did back in the 70s, between a 69 Camaro SS convertible or, well, my dad had a 70 Mustang with a 351 Cleveland. It's hard. It's a hard decision. Now, the Grande is rare, but the Camaro is easier to get parts for. The Camaro, women love convertibles, and the Mustang, they don't. I don't know. It's kind of a hard decision. My dad had an easier time dealing with this. He couldn't afford to get the Camaro, so he basically had his Mustang. And with that, his love affair for his Mustang came out. Now, one of the biggest love affairs with Mustangs, you can hear about them in all kinds of different music videos and songs throughout history. But the main one that comes to mind was also utilized in a movie. Adam Sandler's movie, That's My Boy. Adam Sandler's character in that movie, knocks up his teacher because she was smoking hot. Sorry, I can't deny that at the beginning of it. Well, she liked him. They have a baby, and he became good friends with Vanilla Ice, because you got to remember, it's in the 80s, but Vanilla Ice is big. So yeah, he became friends with them. Vanilla Ice loves his 5.0. Now, we've heard lots of people reference that in song, but Vanilla Ice, consider the fact that he's basically a one-hit wonder with Ice Ice Baby, jumping in his 5.0, everybody automatically picks that. And it's kind of like, me and Lil Renzo rolling my Benzo from NWA, or Sir Mix-a-Lot, how he loves his Mercedes, or even Janis Joplin and her Mercedes. But Vanilla Ice is the singer and song Ice Ice Baby, which you automatically think Ford Mustang. And he barely even says Mustang in it. He just says, I'm going to jump on my 5.0. But we all know a 5-liter is a Ford Mustang GT 5-liter V8. That's how big the Mustang nameplate is. It's become so famous that you don't even have to say its name. You could call out its motor. If I literally call out and say 351 Cleveland to somebody, even if it's like, their last name's Cleveland, like The Cleveland Show, Family Guy, okay? I'm sorry, last name, that's his first name. And you can be order number 351. 351 for Cleveland, 351 for Cleveland. Back of your head, you're just going, 351 Cleveland. It was better than the 351 Windsor. Being Canadian, you think I like the Windsor a lot more than the Cleveland, but no, I got to go all American on this bad boy. 351 Cleveland comes to mind first. Just like the 5.0 from Vanilla Ice. Yeah, the same 5.0 that you would have found in the movie Basic Instinct. So the 5.0s back then were big, but it was only the convertible ones that people were after. The coupes, not as much. Even though they're just as cool, it's the one point in time, besides when the original Mustang came out, that people wanted the convertible more than they wanted the hardtop. Even today, more people buy the hardtops than convertibles. And with that, how big is the Mustang? How many things have we gone through right now? Well, there's one big movie, not the last movie I'm going to talk about. I got one more after this, but another one that actually has not a Mustang in it, but it's one of the most famous, badass cars in history, and it's built off the Mustang platform. The Ford Falcon is essentially what gave birth to the Mustang in North America. But on the other side of the world, in Australia, the Ford Falcon utilized the Mustang platform, which makes the Ford Falcon from the Mad Max series a contender for famous Mustangs. I get it. It could be, a famous Ford, but it's a famous Mustang. Considering the fact that there's both a Ford Falcon Big Copper, the four-door one from the very first movie, and then the badass one from the second and third movie, those Falcons kick it. And we love it. And when you think of the Falcon, you think Mustang. We get it, the Mustang wasn't there. Today, the Mustang is in Australia, but that's because Ford of Australia no longer exists, just like Holden no longer exists. The automotive industry there is completely gone, so they get the Mustangs now. But the Mustang always was a Ford Falcon, and the Falcons in Australia always were a Mustang. They utilized the same engine, 351 Cleveland, 351 Cleveland. They were badass, top of the line, balls deep muscle cars. And they bring the Mustang nameplate and the Mustang power to the other side of the world. But with that, one of the most badass Mustangs of all time appears in the first movie in an amazing chase scene that makes me cringe and cry at the same time at the beginning of the second movie. Oh yeah, I'm talking about the 69 Mustang from John Wick. Oh yeah, the 69 Mustang Mach 1 from John Wick. John Wick is the ultimate badass. He's the boogeyman. He scares even the most hardened criminals when they find out that John Wick is coming for them. And when they steal his car in the first one and bring him back into John Wick territory, you just know things are going to go down. Unfortunately, the car gets beat to shit at the beginning of the second movie, and I cry every time I see it. I have trouble watching it. It's just like when the 69 Charger hits the train at the end of Fast and Furious. Yeah, I almost got kicked out of the movie for that back in the day. But that Mustang, we love it. And being so close in age to my Mustang, when I see it and hear it up there, I'm like, that's just like mine. I can relive my childhood. I can hear the roar of that engine once again. One of the greatest movies of all time, John Wick. Yeah, John Wick brings it. But it's not just movies, TV shows, and music that makes the Mustang famous. It's also the electric car industry and coach build industries. Equus from the United States has what they call the Base 770, which uses a Mustang platform to build a custom coach build version of a new variation of a 67-68 Ford Mustang. It's really cool. Go check it out on the AutoLooks.net. Look at the podcast, Famous Mustangs, and you'll find it there. 2014. It's EQUUS, Equus Base 770. They gave more life. Now, they also give life to Corvettes as well with their second iteration. But to go along with that, there's also, as I like to call it, the electric car industry. And this company just died out, but came back. They're actually the company that's going to be bringing back TVR. Cross your fingers. Let's hope it's true. Charge cars. They even got the rights from Ford to utilize the original 67 Mustang's profile and build, so that their Charge electric Mustang, which is even called the electric Mustang, can go into production to keep the Mustang going into the future, a past favorite into the future. That's how powerful the Mustang nameplate is. It's so famous that the EV industry wants to utilize it to build industries off of it. Now, we get a lot of the EV industry has been built off the Lotus Elise platform, with Tesla, EV Electra, Detroit Electric, just to name a few, all had their original products built off the Lotus Esprit platform. Hell, John Hanassi's fast cars built off of the original Esprit platform. Yeah, the Hanassi Venom. You ever put two and two together when you look at the original designs of it? It's like, yeah, use Lotus Engineering. But Charge built an electric Mustang. This thing is amazing. I love my Mustang. But if I had to go back and forth to work every single day and can afford something really cool to drive, I would use one of these Charge cars, electric Mustangs. I'd plug it in, drive back and forth to work. If I got to stop and get something quick, I have an amazing vehicle to do it with. It's cool. It's luxurious. It's futuristic while still holding on to the famous past from the Mustang nameplate. I was about to say Mustang plate. Mustang nameplate. But out of all of these, nothing compares to the most powerful Mustang in history. And we get it. We've already talked about the Bullet Mustang and the Gone in 60 Seconds Mustang. But one of the most famous Mustangs in history, and the most famous Mustang from the 21st century, goes to one of our favorite drivers of all time. Now, he never took up the WRC when they called him out and said, put your money where your mouth is. I want to see you in a real rally race, not a rallycross race. Get over here and show us how it's really done. He never took them up on that. But he's still a badass who got into racing around my age now, late 30s, early 40s, after creating DC shoes. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about now. Ken Block. And give a shout out to his daughter, Leah Block. You're great. I love watching you in the F1 Academy. And I was at Montreal this year, and the corner you crashed on was literally right in front of me. I didn't know it was you. I was watching the cars, and I saw the accident. I was still paying attention to the race, and my son's like, that was Leah Block. I'm like, what? Oh, man, I would have loved to go down there and get your autograph. I'm like, I want an autograph from Leah Block. Your dad was the coolest, and you're doing what your dad wanted to do. You're carrying on the Block name. But she also took his famous Mustang for a ride. We get it. He's had lots of amazing vehicles that he utilized for all of his Jim Kayana videos. A lot of them were the Ford products. The Fiesta, the Escape. And then he gets into the old F-150s. Later on, he gets to the Volkswagen side with his Porsche and his Audi of his last movie. But it was a famous one, and one that people utilized on the most famous game, which also utilizes Mustang designs in it, Grand Theft Auto. They paid homage to Ken Block when he died, and somebody created the Ken Block Hoonicorn in Grand Theft Auto and did an honor towards him. It was the greatest honor I ever saw, and Leah, if you're listening, I don't know if you got a little teary-eyed over it, but doing some amazing stuff on a video game like Grand Theft Auto with a vehicle that looks like the Hoonicorn and doing the same things. It's the greatest honor. Even to this day, we all miss it. And we get it. They're trying to bring it back with Travis Pastrana and his Subarus, but, no, it was Ken Block's thing. Ken Block was Jim Kayana. And I remember watching the very first one. It was my first full-time job outside of college. I worked for this little door company, did mining doors and overhead doors. And my boss sent me the clip. He's like, you got to watch this. I don't care if you're going to do it on work time. You got to watch this video. And I'd heard about this really cool video for cars, but, it popped up on my feed in the morning, and I'm like, I'll get to it later. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I watched it, and I was blown away by what Ken Block did. It wasn't a Mustang at that time. The Mustang wasn't used until he did the Los Angeles one. This Mustang did drifting between two 6.4 Impalas. anhydrous. It was cool. I loved it. And it just cemented the Mustang as one of the most famous cars in history. The only other two vehicles in history that are more famous than the Mustang is the Willys Jeep and the Volkswagen Beetle. Beetle holds it strong because of how long it was in production and on how many people's lives were influenced by it. And the Jeep, it helped influence so many different companies and so many different products. Hell, go back and listen to a podcast called Jeep World, and you can find out how much Jeep influenced the 4x4 world around the globe. All because of their military expansion during World War II. Go back and listen to it. It's a pretty good episode from a few years back. So really, there's a lot of famous Mustangs out there. And you got to go out and you got to find them. You got to see them. We get it. There's tons of special editions. There's tons of, great looking products. But in all reality, you got to have them. The Mustang is here. The Mustang is amazing. The Mustang is great. No matter how much I refuse to buy a Ford product for my everyday life, just because I know of quality and all that, even to this day, if somebody handed me the keys to a Mustang, like, you just won this Mustang. It's one of the few cars I would actually take the keys instead of asking for the cash equivalent. We got this thing in town. It's like a $20 house, hard for hearing thing. If you win it, you get to keep the car. A nice new Hyundai, sponsored by a Hyundai dealership in town. I'm not fucking keeping the Hyundai. Screw that. Give me the cash equivalent. I don't want the crappy car. I want the Mustang. And the greatest thing about it is, for the longest time in the country of Canada, our most famous giveaway, Roll Up the Rim from Tim Hortons, gave away Mustangs. And even though they had switched to Volkswagen by the 50th anniversary, I thought they were going to do it in 2014. I thought they were going to, for 1 year, bring back the Ford Mustang as their giveaway, because the Mustang was born the same year as Canada's #1 fast food franchise, Tim Hortons, in 1964. All from a dream of Lee Iacocca, a man who saw something great and literally took the Ford Falcon, chopped it up, and turned it into the Mustang the last minute and managed to just get it past the board and into production. It's a car that was never supposed to exist. Yeah, go back and check its history. The Mustang had a lot of great ideas back in the past. Hell, as I'm talking to you right now, on a shelf above me, I have the original Ford Mustang concept car in Hot Wheels form. I also saw it at Cobble Beach, just outside of Owen Sound, Ontario, Canada's premier, kind of like Pebble Beach, the Concours d'Elegance. I actually saw one of the original ones there, next to GM's Firebird 1, 2, and 3. That was way cooler. But seeing it and showing my kids, that's where the Mustang originally was. And at the last minute, Lee Iacocca realized they were going to pull the pin on the puller jack. He flipped it over to the Ford Falcon platform, turned it into a two-door car with a big block V8, and bam! Created one of the most famous icons in automotive history, the Mustang. Yeah, to this day, there's a lot of famous Mustangs out there. My Mustang might not be super rare, it may not be super famous, and it may not be a true blood Ford guy, but in all reality, I still love a great Mustang. And so do a lot of other people, and so do a lot of other shows. The Mustang's always out there, and we always know it as the dominating force in the muscle car, pony car era. It's essentially the last surviving pony car today, since the Camaro and Challenger are gone once again. And as for muscle cars, until they put a V8 back in the Charger, there ain't nothing else except for a Mustang. So, in all reality, we got a lot of famous Mustangs out there. How many other famous Mustangs can you think of? Let us know. So if you like this podcast, please like, share, or comment about it on any major social feeds or streaming sites that you found the AutoLooks podcast on. Like us, follow us, stream us, wherever you go, wherever you've been. Put us on in the car, listen to you on the drive in to work in the morning. Listen and heed what we have to talk about with amazing automotive products. Like we say, AutoLooks, telling you the untold stories of the automotive industry. We get it, there's a lot of famous Mustangs out there, and a lot of people already knew a lot of these stories. But how many of you knew that there was a famous Ford Mustang in The Princess Diaries? Back to the Future, did you remember that 5-liter? Do you remember them making that horrible TV movie, Knight Rider, and using a Mustang instead of a Firebird? Like, how many of these do you remember? And have you actually ever seen Charge Car's electric Mustang? Well, you can, all available on our website at the AutoLooks.net website. While there, stop by, read some of the reviews, check out some of the ratings, go to the Corporate Links website page, big or small. We have them all, car companies from around the globe, all available on the AutoLooks.net website. And after that, send us a link. Tell us what cars you remember. How many Mustangs did we miss? There's a lot of other famous Mustangs out there. These are just the top ones that you can really think of when it comes to watching movies or TV. Hell, this is more of the American list. for Western civilization. So tell us about your famous Mustangs and the ones you remember. Show us pictures of some of the famous Mustangs that you have come to love. All while streaming us, liking us, commenting about us, all from the AutoLooks podcast and AutoLooks.net website. The AutoLooks podcast is brought to you by Ecom Entertainment Group and distributed by Podbeam.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us, send us an email over at email@autolooks.net. So for myself, Everett J., the AutoLooks podcast, the Econ Entertainment Group, and Podbeam.com. Strap yourself in for this one fun, wild ride that this Mustang's going to take us on.